This is Money Made Simple with Jennie and Liv, the financial podcast that keeps it simple and gets to the point.
Welcome back to Money Made Simple, brought to you by Simplicity. Another little reminder, it'd be great if you can rate and or subscribe to the podcast if you are enjoying it. Now on to today's topic. We thought we would put this one out to our listeners and especially our members. So we have 150,000 odd members with Simplicity, and as a result, we are flooded with inquiries, comments, questions, all sorts, all day, every day. So our amazing investor services team, they field inquiries and questions from our members each day through the inboxes. As a very small team of two in marketing and comms, Jennie and I manage our socials, so we get a whole lot of questions daily in there. And we kind of we see a lot of themes and some common stuff that gets asked over and over again and obviously has similar answers. So we thought, why don't we kind of come up with a top 5 of these today and we will answer them and hopefully they can kind of answer some burning questions you might have or have at some point.
Yeah, great.
Cool. So let's get into it. Big one that comes through all the time. And it's one that doesn't really have a very easy answer, right? So we will do our best. The question that we often get is it better to invest a lump sum into my KiwiSaver Investment Fund or make smaller payments more regularly over time? So what's kind of going to make me richer in the long run?
Yeah, you're right. There is no easy answer to that question. Well, there's no black and white answer because it really depends on your situation. Seb and I talked about this in quite a lot of detail in our Kids and KiwiSaver episode. So I'm going to use some examples from that episode just to illustrate what, the different options are. And the example we used in the last episode was for a child. So you were putting in a set amount of money when they were born until they were 18. So we'll use the same example. So option 1, lump sum. You've got $5,000 and I know, lucky, and you put that into an investment fund for your child or a KiwiSaver fund for your child when they're born, and you're going to leave it there for 18 years. You're not going to put any more money in. Based on a government mandated return of 4.5% for a growth fund, after fees and taxes, at 18 you would have $11,000 saved. So you put in your $5,000 and it has grown by another $6,000 and you have $11,000.
So you got more in compounding returns than you did in your...
You did. So that's option 1. Option 2 would be to start an investment fund just by putting in $10 a week. From when they're born to when they're 18. And at 18, they will have, so same returns, 4.5% for a growth fund. They'll have just over $14,000 saved.
So that's more than the original example.
That is more. You will have put more money in, and you actually will have earned slightly less compounding return, so you'll earn $5,000, but your child will have more at the end. So those are 2 potential options. I think what most people are asking when they get in touch is that they have a lump sum that they want to invest, and they don't know whether they should put it all in at once or drip feed it. People get really worried that they're going to put money in at the wrong time. Something's going on with the market. Is this the right time to do it? So again, this kind of depends on you. You could just say the market generally is going up over the long term. This is a long-term investment. I'll just get it in and get it earning compounding returns. If you're worried that the market's really high and it's going to drop, or maybe it's low and you think it's going to fall further, then you could employ what's called dollar cost averaging. So dollar cost averaging means that you put in a little bit of money regularly over time, and the market's going to go up and down, but over time you will sort of balance out the risk. So you might take your, say $10,000, leave it in your bank account and just put in $100 a week or something over time. KiwiSaver kind of utilises that dollar cost averaging because we're making regular contributions. So it is a way of kind of mitigating risk, but it really depends on the person.
And I think at the moment, the market volatility we've seen in the last couple of weeks is a really good example of, we'd get a heightened amount of questions from people at the moment. I think Japan's market dropped 13% the other day.
And no one saw that coming, right? So you can never know what the market's going to do. It's kind of pointless trying to guess. So.
No. I mean, do we know whether the markets are going to go down further from here or whether we're going to see a big upswing now?
No, Liv, I don't.
No one knows. Well, again, like so much of investing, it depends with what you're comfortable with and what works for your personal situation.
Yeah. And I guess the key point for me is that because lots of people don't have lump sums sitting around, so that just starting to invest is like now is still great, even if it's only a sort of $10 a week contribution at the moment. Still worth doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Moving on to our second very, very frequently asked question. What fund should I be in, and should this change over time?
Oh yes, good question. We do get asked that a lot. And prior to starting this job, I wouldn't have had a clue. I was just in the balanced fund because that seemed sensible, not too risky, not too conservative. But there are about 5 different fund types across KiwiSaver at least, and many, many more investment funds. What we would recommend that people do is, because I can't tell you what is the best fund type for you because it depends on lots of things, is that you go to either we've got a tool on our website, or Sorted have got one too. It's called the Fund Selector, and you go and you answer a whole bunch of questions.
And what are those questions generally based on?
They're about how long you're going to be invested for. So generally the feeling is the longer you're invested, the more risk you can afford to take. It'll ask you what your appetite for risk is. Like, are you going to stress out about it, or can you manage that volatility? So it's those types of questions. And then it's only going to make a recommendation. You can then look into that fund type and see if that's the right one for you.
Yeah, and if you use these tools, this fund finder tools or fund selector tools on our website or on Sorted, and then you still are kind of unsure or feeling not really confident about which fund you think that you should be in, it could be an option to go seek independent fee-based financial advice. That means that the advice that you get is unbiased and not kind of tied to commission, either via a provider or a financial advisor that would then kind of have just a set amount of providers that they would recommend. Jennie and I cannot give any personalised financial advice. So yeah, if you do want that advice, then you'd be best to go to a financial advisor.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, I didn't answer your second question, which was, should your fund type change over time? And again, personal, but probably yes, because there might be times in your life that you're willing to take more risk than others. So for example, KiwiSaver can be used to buy first home, right? And right before you buy your first home and you want to withdraw your KiwiSaver for deposit, you might not want to be in a high growth fund that's bouncing around. So you might decide to move your money into a more conservative fund. And then vice versa, as you get older, sometimes people feel like they want to take a little bit less risk the closer they get to their retirement. So yeah, but that's all really personal.
Absolutely. So use the tools, get advice if you need to.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well that brings me to a question to ask you around funds, switching funds, but also switching providers. So we get loads of questions from people because they think switching KiwiSaver providers or switching funds is really stressful and they're not quite sure how to do it. Can you tell us how to do it?
Two-part question, two-part answer. We will tackle switching providers first. As you said, that's way more simple than people think from the consumer or the member point of view. We can't speak on behalf of other providers, obviously, but switching to Simplicity, if you have the right documentation, it takes basically a couple of minutes. And it really should be really easy. In terms of switching, basically you need 2 bits of information before you start. You need your IRD number handy, and you need some kind of form of accepted New Zealand ID like your driver's license or passport. You do not have to get in contact or do anything with your old provider, so you don't need to tell them that you're leaving them.
Yeah, you don't have to have an awkward breakup conversation.
No, the only thing that you need to do is go to the new provider that you want to join and fill out that form, whether that be an online form like we have, or whether that be a physical form like some might, or whether it's in person with the provider. So Simplicity, we only have an online form.
Yeah, so for most people, they've got their license in their wallet and they can find their IRD number, so you're good to go, right?
Switching is simple.
Couple of minutes.
Yeah. After that, basically you need to allow for up to 15 days, working days, to see your funds in your new provider's account. So basically it's mandated that your old provider who you're leaving has to release the funds within 10 working days, and then you kind of need a couple of days before and after that to allow kind of the admin to go on in the background. So that's done all by us and with the IRD, and we get a whole lot of questions through the Investor Services inbox wondering where their money is.
Yeah, because it would be scary. It's come out of one KiwiSaver and you can't quite see it in your new KiwiSaver account yet. That would be a bit scary.
Good point there. What happens is that when the old provider releases the funds, so you are cashing in on your investment, meaning effectively you lock in any investment gains or losses you've made up to that point. that goes to the IRD. Then when it goes to your new provider, they then reinvest the funds. So your funds do come out of the market for about a couple of days during the process.
Okay,
Cool. Moving on to switching funds, that is even more simple. We can't again speak for other providers, but switching between funds is so quick. Basically, you log into your account, your KiwiSaver account or investment fund account, and you go to the left-hand side menu in that account and you basically push switch funds. Yeah. So for our KiwiSaver funds, you can only be in one fund at a time. There are providers that allow you to split across some funds. Our model is very much like low cost and simple. We can only keep fees so low by keeping it that way. But with investment funds, you can split your funds across as many different fund types as you like. So you can have different layers of, high growth versus single sector funds and all sorts.
Doing the research about the provider that you want to switch to or the fund type that you want to switch to will take longer than the actual switching itself, right? You should spend the time making sure you're making the right decision, and then it's really quick to do.
Yeah. And on that note, it can take a couple of days to switch over for you to be able to see your new fund balance. Yeah, just allow a couple of days for that process to go through. And again, like switching providers, when you switch funds, you're effectively cashing in, meaning any losses or gains are locked in at that point, and then you invest fresh into your new fund.
Okay, so I've got another question for you.
Great.
And this is a question we get loads and loads of inquiries about this from our members, our Simplicity members. What's the deal with government contributions?
Yes, this is a really hot topic. So we offer lots of information across all of Simplicity's channels. So there's FAQs on the Simplicity website. We have written blogs on the topic to answer all those questions. We did a podcast around the most frequently asked questions around government contributions and eligibility. There's loads of information out there, both on Simplicity's channels and also IRD and a whole lot of other.
Sorted and FMA.
Yes. But basically, if you tick all the eligibility criteria for the government contributions, which is around your age, your New Zealand residency, and the time that you have been in the scheme for, if you tick all of those, you could basically receive up to $521 or so every year from the government if you contribute enough each year that you're eligible. We've just gone through government contributions and the payouts in July, kind of August timing. So people probably stop thinking about it for the next little while, but saving $1,043 at the very last moment can be a bit of a stretch for people who haven't have had that drip fed in via their employee contributions. And if you work it out in terms of if you're self-employed or a student or whatever.
On maternity leave or,
whatever situation is that you need to make voluntary contributions to get that maximum government contribution, it can be good to kind of break it down to the year. So basically, $20 a week invested into your KiwiSaver will, if you're eligible, will get you to that $1,043.
I talked about this with a colleague earlier, and he just wanted me to mention that it's $20 a week plus an extra $3
total
to get to $1,043.
So $20 a week gets you to $1,040.
Yep, and then you got to get that extra
$3. Important note there. We get a lot of questions asking around this time why people haven't received the government contribution or why they haven't got that full $521 when they thought they were going to get the full amount. So should we run through just a couple of reasons or scenarios as to why people haven't got that money or got as much as they thought?
Yeah, so one of them might be around age. So if you have turned 18 within the KiwiSaver year or you've turned 65 within the KiwiSaver year, you may not be eligible for the full amount.
Yep, same with parents asking on behalf of their under 18-year-olds and wondering why they haven't got the government contribution. So you don't get it if you're under 18. If you're not living in New Zealand, that might be another reason that you become ineligible.
Or you just haven't contributed enough.
Yes.
That's the main one.
Yes. Another one that you might have contributed enough, but you missed the cutoff. So the IRD website will say the 30th of June, but you actually need to get your any extra top-up contributions in before the 30th to allow it to process to your account. So we always say around the kind of a week before. This year we told our members 24th of June.
I mean, we start banging on about government contributions in like March, April, right? So we give people a really big lead up.
Start thinking about it early and just understanding where you're at and what, if anything, you might need to do before that end of June period each year.
Yeah, because 540 something, it's free
21.
money, right? So like, why would you not want to get it? And over the years, I can imagine that $500 really adds up over your working life.
I think when Emma and I did our podcast earlier on government contributions, it was something like 40 grand difference. So it is significant.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah. We've introduced something at Simplicity this year that helps people track how they're going with the government contribution. So log into your KiwiSaver and it'll say, at this stage you are eligible for a partial contribution of this amount, and it will kind of help you figure out where you're at. So I think that will really help people think about it earlier in the year. It's not up at the moment, but it will be on the app in a couple of months, and then people will be able to track it towards the June 2025 deadline. Yeah.
Feels so long away, but time flies, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Finally, this is very member specific, obviously.
But logistical.
Yes, but it's worth maybe quickly addressing around login issues because they're so common.
Yeah, one of the main ones is that when people first sign up to Simplicity, don't think they receive their login details. So that would be the first thing that we would tell you is check your spam folder and see if there's an email in there with your login details. If you can't find that email, or you find the email but the temporary password's already expired, then you just go to the login page and there's two handy little links on there. One is logging in for the first time, ? And the other one is lost your password. So you can click on either of those two links and they'll help you reset and log in successfully, hopefully.
So you don't have to get in touch with our team if you can't find it. There are ways to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Initially, you should try those things. If you continue to have trouble, then obviously totally get in touch with the investor services team. And the other thing that people at the moment is a bit of a big issue is two-factor authentication. So we've recently introduced a few new ways to set up 2FA, and we've got some instructions on the website. So we'll put these in the show notes, I guess, a link to that to help people. But I know it is a pain. Like where people do, we understand that this new trend of two-factor authentication is really annoying across all our different accounts. But this is potentially your life savings. We want that to be as secure as possible.
So it's not obligatory?
No, it's not obligatory, but we would definitely suggest that you should do it.
You can kind of see it coming, right? Like it feels like this is going to become the norm and become one of those things that you have to have because scams...
Across all your accounts.
Yeah, because scams are becoming so prolific. 2FA is one of those things that can really decrease your chances of getting your account hacked and being scammed. So
it's still a little bit new, and so one of the biggest issues is people they enable it and they set up two-factor, and then the next time they go in to log in, it might be a couple of months later, they're like, I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. So yeah, just when you set it up, be really clear how you're doing it, and maybe test yourself a week later to make sure you can still log in.
Cool.
But you can always get in touch with the team if you are locked out of your account.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think that is a bit of a wrap. What do people do if they have more questions?
We've got loads of FAQs on the website. There's some on the KiwiSaver page, some on the investment fund page, on the home loans. All the different funds have their own FAQs as well. So there's loads of information on the website. That's a really good place to start. If you want a question answered by a person, then you can get in touch with the investor services team at info@simplicity.kiwi, or go onto the website and there's a contact us page. You can either ask for someone to give you a call or you can email them there. So between us, them and the website, hopefully we've got most of your questions covered.
And on another note, we could probably do another FAQs episode sometime soon. So if you would like us to answer something that's been on your mind in a future episode, then hit us up via the Simplicity social channels. So we've got Instagram, simplicity_kiwi, or search for Simplicity on Facebook. Send us a DM and we will kind of incorporate it into the next one of these that we do.
Cool.
Awesome. So we hope this episode in itself was useful and answered maybe at least a couple of questions that our listeners have on their mind. So tune in next time, and yeah, thanks for listening. See ya.
Bye.
This podcast contains personal opinions and is intended to provide educational information only. It doesn't relate to your particular financial situation or goals and is not financial advice or recommendations. Simplicity New Zealand Limited is the issuer of the Simplicity KiwiSaver scheme and investment funds. For product disclosure statements, please visit Simplicity's website, simplicity.kiwi.